Shams just dropped an absolute bombshell report surrounding Giannis Antetokounmpo and this Milwaukee Bucks organization and how it looks like they are going in their separate ways. I'm here to break down those quotes as well as a series of different examples of really what has been going wrong between these two parties up to this point in the season and how it looks like Miami could be the number one beneficiary going forward before this NBA deadline actually expires. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Heat Digest. But first, please do remember this video is brought to you by Kalshi. There is a link down in the description. If you click on that link and use code DIGESTNBA when signing up for Kalshi, you will get $20 back when you trade your first 100. Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the US and it's entirely ready to go and live in all 50 states, regardless if you're in Florida, Texas, California, New York, Michigan, Ohio. It doesn't matter. Kalshi is live and ready to go in all 50 states. Everything is on regulated markets, so you can cash out at any time. And yes, the big game has arrived. We finally know which two teams are going to be battling it out for the Super Bowl this year. After the Patriots' very low-scoring win in an absolute blizzard in Denver, they're able to move on, and they play the Seattle Seahawks, who were able to escape the absolute wizardry of Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford and just the freak athleticism of Puka Nacua. And it's going to be a hell of a ball game. And not only can you trade on game lines, but you can trade on player props and basically anything else in between when it comes to real life events, from culture to weather to politics to sports and everything else in between. So make sure you check out Kalshi using the link down below in the description. Use code DIGESTNBA when signing up to get $20 back after you trade your first 100. But now let's get to it and break down the major Giannis Antetokounmpo updates as we have more of them. And it doesn't feel like that we are ever going to run out of updates until he is traded to this Miami Heat organization. And yes, I understand. Yeah, it's a long shot. Pat Riley's riding onto the sunset. This is just hearsay. No one actually believes this is going to happen. Every single day that goes by, it becomes more and more real, in my opinion. And why do I say that? I'm not as optimistic as I was. I've believed that it's so hard for teams, especially this Miami Heat organization, to go out there and just get things right. And it's a very hard thing to get right. You have to take into account players get injured. Players simply don't live up to the expectations. Players just don't fill the shoes and don't meet the criteria that you're all hoping for. And sometimes it just doesn't work out on a professional level. There's a lot of different moving parts, and it's hard to get everything right every single time. This Miami Heat organization has been clear-cut and obvious over the last few years. Yes, they want to go out and acquire stars, but they are very stingy. They are very, very hesitant to go out there and actually get those stars unless it is someone along the lines of a Giannis Antetokounmpo. And right now, this has been and is becoming the best, without a shadow of a doubt, of the time to go out and try to acquire him. You actually have a chance. One, Milwaukee seems like they're open to the idea of actually trading him. Two, it seems like Giannis, despite all the early conversations this season, is willing to be moved from Milwaukee due to the lack of success and really just the frustration that has been caused over the last week, month, and some change as this season has continued to play out. And we're going to cite this quote from Shams, and then we are going to get into a series of different experiences and events that took place with Giannis Antetokounmpo in a Milwaukee Bucks jersey up to this point in the season that have made us believe more and more by the day that he simply is growing very, very, very tired of this Milwaukee Bucks organization, the fan base, and really everything else in between that has to do with him being in Milwaukee. So let's start with this. The Pat McAfee show had Shams on just yesterday or 2 days ago, or no, I believe it was Friday, and it was interesting because they talked about everything, including the Giannis Antetokounmpo updates, as Pat actually labeled out the question with, we've been talking about Giannis for some time now, dating back to when Indiana was in the finals, because Pat is a huge Indiana guy. He's from Indiana, and he goes on, or he's not from Indiana, but he resides in Indiana. The idea was, what's going on with Giannis? There's a lot of conversations about this team going to get him, this team going to get him, this guy. If he's no longer on the Bucks, that changes their entire organization. Yes, I'm greatly paraphrasing. But this is what Shams said in return. Quote, these conversations between Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks have been happening since May. Recently, these conversations about his future have only intensified. And that's the end of the quote from Shams. And this is exactly what the Miami Heat organization and Heat Nation as a whole wants to hear. Because if Giannis is clear and content with staying in Milwaukee, regardless of how the situation is going, whether or not they are winning basketball games, or where did I put it? Right here, as they are currently the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference, not even in a play-in spot, with Giannis at the helm on this team at 18-26, despite the Eastern Conference being bluntly a dumpster fire. Like, 27-20 is your 5th seed, 24-20, 25-22, 23-21, 23-22. These are spots that are either in the play-in or actually in the playoffs as currently constructed up to this point in the year. And despite that, it is not getting the job done for this Miami Heat organization. The Milwaukee Bucks organization. This is a very tough spot to be in for Milwaukee. They have failed him offseason after offseason, and because of that, he is now stuck in a situation where he's on a team that is simply not good enough to not only get to the Eastern Conference playoffs, which is dreadful, but also make a run at an NBA championship. Giannis is going to end up forcing his way out. It continues to feel that way. And now we have a lot of information to cover. And this is all based off of recent events in the last week and some change that has taken place with Giannis specifically and this Milwaukee Bucks organization. The first thing we'll say is this from Clutch Points. Quote, we're not playing hard. We're not playing to win. We're not playing together. Our chemistry's not there. Guys are being selfish. Guys are trying to do it on their own. And that's the Milwaukee Bucks after their loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Granted, the Thunder are arguably the best team in the league, and it's a very hard team to get around, especially when you're extremely underhanded in the sense the Milwaukee Bucks. But it doesn't end there. Giannis during a Bucks timeout, and I know, yeah, he's 9 feet tall, but he can stand two seats down from the actual circle of players and coaching staffs going over things. But then you see everyone trying to break it down with their hands in the middle, 1, 2, 3 team, whatever they're breaking on. Giannis is not involved in that. Again, it's just about the overall mentality. It's about just being a team player. Are you in on this team? It doesn't seem like this is someone that is in on the team. And this is just the most recent experience. You guys remember this one because we broke it down on this channel the second it happened, because it felt like the following day Giannis was out of town. And this, again, we broke down both of these pictures. Again, this still photo is from the same exact night that we're about to cite. And this is from Courtside Buzz, highlighting when Giannis was on the sideline. He was wiping his face with his towel. It looked like he was wiping his eyes specifically, like he could have been crying. I'm not saying he was crying. I don't believe Giannis was crying. But it certainly looked like someone who was extremely frustrated at the absolute minimum. And not only frustrated, but extremely disappointed, not only in himself, but what he was a part of, what was going on, the team he was playing with, and really the effort that was being displayed from all of these people in a collective effort. It is, again, I'll tag this one down below if you'd like to watch the video. It's only about 10 seconds long, but it is clear, cut, and obvious. Giannis looks extremely disappointed, whether it's just with himself or with this team as a whole. And again, it doesn't end there. We mentioned that in that same game, before that took place, this took place, right? This took place here. This was the same game when Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks went to halftime and were booed running off the court. And in doing so, they came back on the floor in the second half, down a substantial amount of points to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were handing that ass whooping out. Giannis drove to the lane, I believe he was either fed in the post or drove to the lane. He was able to make a 1 or 2 step move, finish with a substantial contact, finish the end one, go to the free throw line. But in the process of going down to the ground, once being fouled by the Minnesota Timberwolves, he responded to the boos really as the best version of a heel as you possibly could, and gave a double thumbs down and hit the entire arena with a huge boo himself and just a big response. Okay, now the last thing we are going to cite, outside of the contract numbers and the actual production that we see from Giannis that we all know and love and don't even have to address, is Giannis on Brick Center. I understand it's not the most reliable source, but this did actually happen. Giannis on if he'll finish the season with the Bucks. Quote, I don't know. He was very blunt. He was very honest. He didn't have a lot to say. And again, that was the same. No, it was, yeah, I believe it was the same night. No, it wasn't. No, it was not. I didn't lie to you, but I thought it could have been the same night. It was not. Okay, so that's going to be it for this episode of Heat Digest. Just remember, Giannis and this Milwaukee Bucks organization are failing at every aspect. They are not playing alongside one another very well. They are not enjoying playing alongside one another at all. They are not winning games because it's not working in Milwaukee. Giannis is getting tired not only of the team, but the organization, but the fan base. And it seems like the fan base is growing kind of restless around him and what's going on involving this Milwaukee Bucks organization. And with everything else being considered, things are starting to burn between the Milwaukee Bucks organization and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and it looks like Miami may be the number one suitor with the most amount of assets, including young assets and draft compensation, to go out and acquire him. That'll be it for this episode of Heat Digest. I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching.